So I just had, not just had, a couple weeks back, I just had my truck shut off on me. And it was right in the middle of the city, which was pretty embarrassing in the first place. So you know how it is when your car breaks down. You just kind of embarrassed that it does it. But yeah, so I ended up having it towed. And I towed it to a towing place. I'm not going to mention any names. But I asked them if I could just keep it there overnight, and I'll come back with the other truck and pick it up with the trailer and stuff. And they said, yeah, that's fine. They weren't going to charge me anything, so that was pretty cool. So I told them not to touch the truck. I'll be back tomorrow, pick it up. We'll get her taken back home, which was probably about 20 some miles away. But I came back the next day and I noticed that when I went to pick up the truck, I opened up the driver's side door and all my panels and stuff were down. Well, that didn't really set good with me because this whole bottom panel and everything was pulled down. Yeah, I was not a happy camper. There was a bunch of wires and stuff up in there that was all pulled out. I mean, it looked a wreck. So I went inside and asked the guy what was going on with the truck, and they said they brought it in the shop and diagnosed the issue. Well, they gave me the bill, and the bill was not, it was a pretty outrageous bill. And I told the guy, I says, listen, I talked to you guys last night and told you guys that I was going to park it here and come pick it up, that I didn't want you guys to touch the vehicle. Well, obviously the communication issue there was a problem, and they decided to take it in anyhow because they didn't realize that they weren't supposed to look at it. So, I mean, what can you say? It is what it is. I didn't end up paying for the bill. They just wiped the bill off. And they actually told me what was going on with the vehicle, which was very surprising. Because for me to figure this thing out would have probably taken quite a long time. So, as you can see, this little guy right here, I don't have it all put back together yet, but anyhow, there's an ignition box back in here. It's like right on the side where my finger is. There's I think there's 3 wires that's hooked up to it. The box just kind of clips in there. You pull out, the wires clip in there. But yeah, what was going on was I needed to have 12 volts going through that ignition box. And I was getting about 3 or 4 volts into that ignition box. So that was causing an issue. It would start up for maybe 2 or 3 seconds and it would shut down, just enough to put that voltage through there and run out of voltage pretty much. So the guy at this towing place ended up showing me how to hot wire the truck so I could get a current going through there. Well, I did that, and I just kind of got lazy, didn't want to take the time to really get in there and start pulling the ignition system and all that other stuff. Figured it's going to be a pretty heck of a job. Well, a couple weeks ago, this happened probably almost a year ago. It lasted a year that way. So I just hooked up a toggle switch to it. But a couple weeks ago, well, truck was starting to give me issues again. It wouldn't start. I was having a bunch of issues with it. And it just would not start. Just turn over and turn over and turn over. So I figured, well, what's the most I can do is replace that box and hopefully see what happens. So I ended up replacing that box, and sure enough, that was the issue. It started right up right after that. So if you guys have issues with your truck just dying and stuff like that, I would definitely take it in and have them test that ignition box and make sure that's a good box. Just trying to cut down on some tons of labor and stuff like that if I can. Just trying to help you guys out. I don't know if this will help. I don't know. This is probably not going to be the issue with every single vehicle. This is a 2003 Chevy Trailblazer EXT or LT. It's got a 5.3 liter engine in there, so it's a good engine. It's run good for me. I've had a couple kind of major issues with it, but other than that, for the most part, it's been a pretty decent vehicle. So yeah, we replaced that box and everything turned out good. And actually, the box, to replace the box, probably figuring it was going to probably take me about a 2 or 3 hour job to rip all that ignition out, replace all that stuff. The most pain in the butt was the part. I think the part was like 35 or 40 bucks. So it wasn't like crazy expensive, but it was still pretty pricey for the size of the box. The box is not that big, maybe 1.5 inches long by maybe 1/2 inch wide. So very, very small. It's about the size of one of them small matchboxes. So, but it plugs in, turned in, pushed it back in, turned the key, started right up. One thing you need to know though is you want to make sure you get your ignition straight on, because I noticed that when I put it in, I turned the key, there's a ton of slack in the ignition thing. So what you got to do is kind of recoil. There's like a little recoil spring thing on there, or wheel. You got to recoil the wheel a little bit so it will line up to your ignition. That's not hard to do. It's pretty simple. Kind of common sense. You just got to figure it out, but it's not hard at all. But after I got that, yep, it started right up. Runs good. I haven't had an issue since. I don't have to hot wire my car anymore, so that's a big bonus. So hopefully, guys, this helps. If not, I'm not sure what to tell you, but probably just go. It's probably got to be an electrical problem or something. But anyhow, like I said, hopefully this helps, man. Peace out.